How did life evolve on your icy planet, far from its star? Is the animal life on your planet herbivores or carnivores? When did you first discover evidence of an ancient galactic civilization? We'll be asking all those questions and more on this week's episode of the Ask an Alien Project. Join us, won't you? Hello et bonjour, and welcome to Episode 8 of the Ask an Alien Project. The goal of our project is to create a repository of all the questions that we as a species would like to ask an extraterrestrial species if we could sit down and have a conversation with them. Now, you might say, how can we study aliens and extraterrestrials if we don't even know if they exist? Well, you're right, we don't know, but every day we're getting closer to finding that out, so we had better get ready. This week's episode will have a slightly different focus. Now, everyone's all excited about disclosure, the formal revelation that we are not alone in the universe. But we don't often discuss just what kind of disclosure would be good enough, or perhaps even extraordinary. So our little Ask an Alien family came up with a ranking of the possible forms of extraterrestrial life that we'd like to find. And we've listed them in order of what would be just good enough to what would be absolutely mind-blowing and civilization-altering. We're so focused on our own squabbles, disagreements, and problems here on Earth that we often don't take the time to consider our role in the galaxy and the broader universe. It's crossed our minds that if we were able to have irrefutable, incontrovertible, and universally accepted definitive proof of the existence of extraterrestrial life, that perhaps maybe as a species we might just pause for a moment. Maybe we might just see our own squabbles about natural resources and whose form of government is better than whose in a different light. Maybe we might just consider the bigger picture of where we fit in the galaxy and the universe at large. Perhaps we fit into a greater meaning, a neighborhood, a community of civilizations. But for the discovery of extraterrestrial life to have an earth-shaking, civilization-adjusting impact, just what form of alien life does it have to be? Suddenly, will we all come together as a species if we find some alien algae on some asteroid somewhere? Or perhaps it needs to be evidence of an advanced civilization that would give us more pause. So without further ado, here's our list in order from pretty good to absolutely rocking the foundations of what we consider existence of alien life forms that we'd like to find. Life form number 1. Bacteria located anywhere other than on this Earth. Whether trapped in the ice of the polar caps of Mars, or floating around in the upper atmosphere of Venus, or located on the asteroids in the belt, perhaps even frozen under the sea of the moons of some of our largest planets in our solar system, such as Enceladus or Europa. Finding evidence of bacterial life somewhere else other than Earth will immediately prove that life does not just simply exist on our planet. If we find bacterial life anywhere other than here, we immediately destroy the line of inquiry that life is only in existence on Earth. It also suggests that bacteria can be found in many other places in the universe. This predictability of finding life would increase with the difficulty of the environment it's found in. So for example, if we find bacteria in the icy water on Mars, that's one thing. But if we find it living outside of an asteroid, that suggests that life can survive in some of the hardest and most challenging environments, and therefore could be found in many, many places in the galaxy. Life form number 2. Multicellular microorganisms. This would be the equivalent of finding plankton or other very small creatures. There is a high probability of such life forms being found on exoplanets with similar characteristics to Earth, or even closer to home in the icy waters under the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. For example, we understand that there is an icy ocean on Europa that is many kilometers deep, covered on the outside in an icy crust, but signs of geysers blowing water into space have been found. suggesting some geothermal activity on the planet. If there is an energy source such as geothermal energy, it could be warm enough for very small creatures to exist, much as we find in the deep ocean floor of our own planet. This would tell us that life can evolve on another moon or planet in space, and suggest that it might happen in many other worlds with the same characteristics. Lifeform number 3 would be vegetation, either under an ocean, such as seaweed, or above ground, such as plants and trees. This would suggest that you have far more complex organisms able to convert energy from their star into food. Whether it's smaller plant life such as moss or lichens, or larger structures such as plants, bushes, or trees, this would suggest that life on that planet is capable of adapting to its environment and obtaining its own food and nutrients. Additionally, if plant life evolved as we understand it here, that could allow for the consumption of carbon dioxide and the creation of oxygen. In our own distant history, during the Cambrian explosion, we had millions and millions of small plants and creatures that gave off enormous quantities of oxygen, fueling the explosion of life on our planet. Coral reefs would also be quite interesting to find, as we know they harbor large amounts of life here. Considering we know the existence of several moons in our own solar system with abundant water, this perhaps could be more common than we think. Lifeform number 4 would be small insects, crustaceans, or other creatures with an exoskeleton. This would show that life could evolve from beyond a microscopic level or plant level into creatures that actively engage with and utilize their environment, showing simple hunting or gathering skills such as ants, spiders, or other small crustaceans would do here on Earth. We know that many forms of insect life play an important role in our own ecosystem, such as bees pollinating flowers. It would be fascinating to see if very small forms of life are equally crucial to an environment on their home planet. Lifeform number 5 that we'd like to find would be creatures who have evolved with an internal skeleton such as mammals, lizards, birds, and fish here on Earth. This suggests a high degree of complexity and multicellular, multi-system, multi-organ creatures. On our planet, these creatures eventually evolved into what we have now, including the development of civilization. If we found a planet inhabited by an alien form of birds, rabbits, or monkeys, we could reasonably deduce that they are on the right path to developing a civilization eventually. The 6th life form we'd be exceptionally interested to find out about would be any life form that can form a rudimentary civilization. This would involve the use of tools, the ability to create and control fire, and who have established a community-focused civilization such as farming and active hunting and gathering. The 7th life form we would be really excited to see is a near-peer equivalent civilization to our own. Now you are talking about rocking the foundations of what we know as our place and our role in the galaxy. Multicellular, multi-organ system creatures capable of highly intelligent thought, able to understand science, and who have their eyes set on the stars as we do. This may be the type of civilization that we're able to detect, but perhaps not able to interact with due to the distance or technological complexity. For example, if we use the James Webb Space Telescope to look at Proxima Centauri or another nearby system with exoplanets that's perhaps only 40 light years away or so, we might be able to see evidence of their existence, such as street lighting at night, evidence of artificial satellites, or perhaps nuclear explosions. Unfortunately, due to the distance, we would have no way of getting there or communicating with them in a timely manner, other than if we had a significant increase in our own technology. Perhaps we could use current era technology to send a small probe such as a solar light sail craft, which we could build with much of today's technology, and send it on a journey that could take perhaps 40 to 100 years to reach, but at least we'd be able to send a message to a future generation on that nearby planet that we're here and would like to meet the neighbors. The 8th most interesting life form we'd like to meet would be the one everyone thinks of, an advanced alien civilization capable of achieving near or beyond the speed of light transport and communications. An alien civilization that exceeds our current capabilities 1,000-fold and could teach us much about science and the universe. This is where meeting such civilizations starts to get a little more precarious for us, though. As Professor Stephen Hawking suggested, there may be civilizations of alien origin out there that we do not want to meet, because their incredible technological superiority gives them the ability to destroy us. However, we have hope that we could find an alien species that's more interested in exploration and science rather than galactic conquest. The 9th most interesting life form we'd like to encounter would be the one that transcends our knowledge of all life forms currently. What we mean by that is a civilization that's expanded so much and evolved so far that it is more pure energy, or their idea of life is so utterly beyond what we can even conceive of now. Beings of light, beings of energy, beings of consciousness, or galaxy-spanning and eon-spanning civilizations. For example, we still to this day do not know what exactly set off the Big Bang explosion 13.5 billion years ago that started our known universe. Who are we to say that it wasn't the result of a science experiment done by a form of alien life so far advanced that we simply cannot comprehend what it might look like? And coming in at number 10, the top life form that we'd like to see is a little bit of a twist. It's ancient evidence of any of the previous 9 life forms. The reason we think ancient evidence might be the best option of all is due to several factors. First, it might simply be the easiest to find, as it might just come to us. A good example is the 2017 discovery of the space rock Oumuamua. This object entered and exited our solar system far faster than any other normal comet or asteroid. As Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard University has suggested, this interstellar object may actually have been an artifact of an ancient alien civilization. It could simply be that we don't stumble across any alien species, but evidence of their existence stumbles upon us. It could also be that we come across evidence of ancient bacteria on Mars, or one of the moons of Jupiter or Saturn, or under an icy asteroid in the belt, or perhaps on the surface of Venus. Finding evidence of long-dead life in our solar system may be easier to find than locating a galactic civilization far, far away. Another way to think of this is if you dig up a dinosaur bone in your backyard, or find an ancient aboriginal arrowhead while digging in a construction site. These objects come to you. If we're exploring Mars already and we come across ancient bacteria, then we can immediately, and for once and for all, prove that life doesn't just exist on Earth, but can exist anywhere. Just finding one single ancient fossilized bacterium could be good enough. Finding evidence of larger creatures fossilized would be fascinating for the study of xenobiology and learning how life evolves in different environments with different levels of gravity, different air pressures, and different chemical compositions. And if we find ancient alien temple ruins or other artifacts of a long vanished civilization, we will know definitively that civilizations can grow on different planets without that pesky problem of worrying about whether or not we're going to get wiped out by a hostile species today. This is going to require a lot of research well into the future in many different forms, whether it's astronauts going to a distant planet, space probes landing on asteroids, comets, or moons in our own solar system, or using our latest telescopes to see across vast distances. Speaking of research, if you're working in this field, we'd like to hear from you and help you amplify your work to a broader audience. Please feel free to contact us directly or message us in the comments below. So thank you et merci, and I'll see you next time on the Ask an Alien Project.